I haven't made a video on Planet 9 for 6 years. Not due to negligence, I assure you. I simply haven't seen the point. Not to toot my own horn, but my initial video on Planet 9 was fairly comprehensive, and given the time and effort required to observe or disprove a planet with an orbit lasting millennia, I haven't seen fit to update it. It's been less than a decade since Planet 9 was first proposed, and the one telescope everyone thinks will find it won't see first light till July. But I have a rule. I always follow up my previous videos, and when the subject of one of my previous videos sufficiently rattles the public sphere, I feel obliged to address it as best I can. And yes, I'll be raining on parades again, because the one thing I can say with absolute certainty is that this observation is not evidence for Planet 9. Sorry. Clothes for Christmas again. Hey, maybe someone will claim to have found another planet around Proxima and I can make it a trilogy. The paper in question was submitted for publication last week by a joint Chinese, Japanese, and Australian team headed by graduate student Terry Long Phan, and claims to have observed an image consistent with Planet 9. This image was detected not through a telescope, or at least not by any the team used, but through statistical combing of two infrared surveys, IRAS in 1983 and Akari in 2008. Given Planet 9's presumed dimness in visible light, it made sense to resort to infrared, as planets emit their own infrared light and thus shine brightest in that wavelength. Unfortunately, infrared light is absorbed by our atmosphere, as anyone who has suffered through a recent wildfire will tell you, and so dedicated infrared surveys are best conducted from orbit. IRAS, the infrared astronomical satellite, those were simpler times, was the first ever infrared survey of the night sky, and, among many other things, discovered the first ever extrasolar planetary systems, dust disks around such stars as Vega and Beta Pictoris. But, somewhat ironically given the current topic, IRAS has since become most widely known for a conspiracy theory concerning an overeager publication of its supposed discovery of a large planet at the edge of our solar system. After it was retracted, conspiracy theories of a Roswell-style cover-up began circulating, which crescendoed with the 2012 Doomsday Panic. So that was nice. Akari, which is Japanese for light, was a project by the Japanese Space Agency between 2006 and 2011. The 23-year gap between these two surveys allowed any prospective Planet 9 to have traveled up to 69 arc-minutes, or about a degree, across the sky. WISE, the far more sensitive infrared survey conducted between 2009 and 2024, was not used because without precise knowledge of Planet 9's orbit, it is impossible to predict where a third pre-cover image would be. Phan and his team's method was fairly simple. They assumed a heliocentric distance for Planet 9 of between 500 and 700 AU, roughly 17 to 23 times Neptune's distance from the Sun, and a mass of 7 Earth masses. Then they scanned both surveys for any objects that appeared in IRAS but not in Akari, and then in Akari but not in IRAS, at an angular distance corresponding to 500 to 700 AU. After combing the results for false positives, they arrived at a single result that represented how an object of Planet 9's orbit and mass would appear. Well, sort of. Problem 1 with this result is that it employs older values for Planet 9's mass and distance that Mike Brown and Konstantin Batygin, the original proponents of Planet 9, no longer consider valid. Their most recent estimates for Planet 9's size and orbit, from 2021, are a heliocentric distance of 380 AU and a mass of 6.2 Earth masses. Work in 2024 by Scott Tremaine and Amir Siraj at Princeton reduce it even further, with a distance of 290 AU and a mass of 4.4 Earth masses. Planet 9, like Planet X before it, appears to be getting smaller. Let's hope that does not portend a similar fate. A second problem, as Mike Brown himself noted, is that eternal bugbear of solar system exploration, coincidence. Just because two images appear in two different datasets in a suggestively close sequence, that doesn't make them the same object. They could be any number of things, from cosmic rays to image artifacts. Of course, they might not be, but we won't know until the result is followed up. Finally, and astonishingly, this object, if it exists, not only cannot be Planet 9, but, if it were found to be real, would disallow Planet 9's existence. Mike Brown performed some ephemeris calculations based on Phan and Co.'s positions for the object, and determined that its orbit must be tilted 120 degrees from the plane of the solar system. In effect, it would orbit the Sun backwards. That would be a first for our system, though a few exoplanets have been found to orbit their stars backwards. The highest tilt Planet 9's orbit is expected to have, according to Brown, is 20 degrees. More importantly, Phan's planet, again if real, would gravitationally perturb Planet 9, sending it out of orbit and into interstellar space. Far from finding Planet 9, Phan may have found its nemesis, in all senses of the word. If Phan's planet is found, it would mark the second time a planet was discovered in the outer solar system as part of an attempt to locate a completely different one. In the former case, that planet was Pluto, and its predicted doppelganger was Planet X. Planet X eventually proved to be an illusion. If Phan's planet is found, it would render Planet 9 not an illusion, but a vanished relic of our solar system's past. I don't often say this about potentially revolutionary discoveries, but I hope we don't find it.